Real quick before I get started, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, and comment on this video. And also, I'm on Instagram now, so you can follow me there at Dr. Yehoshua Ben Ephraim. Okay, make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I upload a new video or a new lesson. All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ephraim. Today's date is August 16th, 2021. I'm saying Ahaya by Yeshem, Yeshua, HaMashiach, Baruch Atah Adonai. And if you're listening to the sound of my voice, you are blessed to see yet another day, and all praises due to the Most High God of Israel for now and forever. All right, well, before I really get into today's lesson, and I'm going to approach it a slightly different way, but I'm going to really get into it. I guess it's really come to my attention that, no matter how much truth I bring forth, no matter how much, time and effort I put into these lessons, there's just a lot of us who are just not going to, take heed or receive what thus said the Lord. I mean, you got Israelites that are they're sounding and acting like Christians still. You got so-called Israelite teachers, pastors, and elders and leaders, teaching our people, teaching the children of Israel from the so-called New Testament, a book that is not for them, that was never meant for them, and for all intents and purposes, the New Testament Christians were basically meant to take or steal away the position of the children of Israel. I mean, it's just really ridiculous. It's sad. It's sombering, and it's frustrating. And I mean, really, I just, after all these years, and you got these camps still, promoting this false 12 tribe chart. I mean, and our people, we didn't just get like this, right? We've been like this since the days of Moses. I mean, the stuff Moses went through with our people, though the spirits of those people are still here in the earth today, and I understand more now than now more than ever, how he felt and what he went through, and a lot of the Israelite men of God that were called, and how they felt with the I mean, just imagine the sheer frustration that the Most High Himself wanted to wipe our people off the face of the earth. I mean, and this is the Most High. I mean, He's slow to anger, but our people got Him there. Our descendants got Him there. He said, "Let me alone, that I might destroy them off the face of this earth." Man, like, you know what? And in that respect, I mean, I look at it like, who am I? But also in His word, He said, although Israelites are of the sand of the sea, only a remnant, a small percentage of us will return to Him. That's pretty deep, my people. And you so-called leaders and elders is just misleading our people and still feeding them this false information, these false narratives. It's just this false 12 tribe chart, feeding them a bunch of foolishness. The Most High got your number too. Don't think you're going to get away with that. The book of Jeremiah chapter 23 says, "Woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. Therefore, thus said the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord, and I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries where I have driven them, and will bring them again to their folds, and they shall be fruitful and increase. And I will set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord." So I want y'all to understand that on both sides, and my people is just sold out to these false teachers, these false prophets, these false elders, these so-called, men of God, these men who called themselves. I want you all to understand that it's really not your fault. It's really not. But the Most High that scripture and those scriptures and verses is especially for those false teachers, those false leaders, just continuing to mislead y'all. All right, I love my people. Like my heart is pure. It profits me nothing to spend these years, telling you what I've been telling you, and but we're going to get into this 12 tribe chart. Once again, I'm going to approach it a slightly different way. Again, the chart is partially true, right? But partially true does not equate to continuing to teach and preach the chart in its entirety. The one and only one that got right is Judah, being the Negroes. Well, guess what? All 12 tribes of Israel are Negroes. Okay, we're going to get into it. So, without further ado, let's get it. Okay, it's fitting for me to start here. Many of you have heard me say, ad nauseum, how important the children of Israel's genealogy is to the Most High, and I'm going to get into that, right? And why Timothy, Titus, or no one in the New Testament or anywhere can speak against that. So we're going to start here, because to understand why our genealogy is so important to the Most High, we have to start here, Deuteronomy 7:6. And it says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth." Now let's dissect that real quick. He said a special people. He has chosen thee, a special. Well, what makes us special? Well, I submit to you, my Negro brothers and sisters all across the world, that no race of people, no dark race of people, no other race of people has the DNA of the Negro. That is a genetic fact. Okay? Our DNA is not for the Most High. Our DNA, that knowledge he raised me up to bring that forth to you, is for us, for continuity's sake. Okay? That's what makes us special above all people on the face of the earth. If we didn't know our DNA, we wouldn't know that. What I just told you, if I didn't know our DNA was different from every race on this planet, and if that doesn't make us special, I don't know what does. And I don't mean special from the standpoint that we're better than anyone. I mean special from the standpoint that we have something about us as a people and as a nation that no other race of people has. No one can dispute what I just said, what I'm saying, because it's a genetic fact, right? Remember how I always say you can go into a court of law. You can't go into a court of law telling them what you think and what you believe, right? We can't go into a court of law with the Bible, but you can go into a court of law with DNA evidence, because DNA is genetic proof of what we're saying we believe. The curses is not enough. Sorry to you false pastors and teachers. Belief in the curses is not enough. It's not. You have to reckon your genealogy. I'm going to get into that in the next segment. But above all people, I submit to you, my brothers and sisters and sojourners of Israel, that our DNA sets us above all people. Our DNA makes us that special people the Most High is talking about in Deuteronomy 7:6. Whether you want to believe that or not is of no consequence to me, but it is the truth. So I have to start here before I get into why our genealogy is so important to him, especially after our holy haplotype was broken upon our final exodus, or final exit out of Jerusalem when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem. All right, on to the next segment. Okay, what the Most High did in Genesis 25:23 with Rebekah, thousands of years later, would be why he raised me up to bring forth this DNA teaching and doctrine to the children of Israel. Only he can do what he did with Rebekah in Genesis 25:23. And for those of you who don't know, I'm going to break it down for you. Okay, what this means genetically and biologically. "And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from you. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Now, what does that mean? Now, if you have no knowledge of how, genetics and the wide DNA haplotype of men work, let me give you a brief synopsis on that. Ordinarily speaking, when a male has a child, male have what they call Y DNA haplotypes. All male children do. Okay? That Y DNA haplotype you can trace back thousands upon thousands of years, all the way back to ancient men that lived and walked the earth. Okay? So, when the Most High told her 2 nations are in thy womb, right? And 2 manner of people, he shall separate them from her, basically from her womb. What he was telling her is that of the 2 male children that was in her womb, basically what he was going to do, he was going to split their DNA, their Y DNA haplotype, right? He was going to split that. That's what he says. They shall be separated. That's what he meant when he said separated in her womb. He was going to split the Y DNA haplotypes of the 2 children, because ordinarily 2 male sons would have the same Y DNA haplotype of their father. However, why couldn't these 2 particular kids, Jacob and Esau, have the same DNA? I'll tell you why. Because it's simple. Because the children of Jacob, the seeds of Jacob, are the chosen seed. Remember, let's go back to 7 and 6 real quick. He said we're going to be a special people above all people. Well, Esau couldn't have the same DNA as Jacob. There would be no continuity. There would be nothing that separates the children of Israel from Edom and the seeds of Esau. Come on, y'all following me here? Okay, this is why the Most High, with his omnipotent power, separated the Y DNA haplotype of Jacob and Esau in Rebekah's womb. 2 nations. He separated them into 2 nations by doing that. Okay? The seeds of Jacob are E1B1A, and for whatever reason, I do not know why, please do not ask me and stop asking me. For whatever reason, the seeds of Edom, Esau, defaulted to E1B1B, and we know that because we know men in history that literally have that Edomites that have that Y DNA to this day, even throughout history, from Napoleon, a couple other evil type men that carry that E1B1A Y DNA haplotype. Right? So we know that Esau defaulted to E1B1B for some reason, although E1B1A is Hamitic as well. It's that whole E1B1B thing. That's why they were saying in an article that Hitler was so-called Jewish and African because of the E1B1B. But that's a whole nother thing. I'm not going to get into that. Let's just deal with what the Most High did in Rebekah's womb with Jacob and Esau. Okay? That I'm pretty sure majority of you never gave that scripture and verse, Genesis 25 and 23, much second thought, right? Until what I'm telling you right now. Okay, because you got to remember, the first man that even brought the fact that we were Israelites was over 100 years ago. Well, it took 100 years for the Most High to raise one of us up to say, okay, listen, I'm gonna do it better than that. I'm gonna raise up one of you to bring forth that, but you know who you are by your DNA. You know your seeds of Jacob by your DNA, and that would be me in all humbleness, right? So that's what he did when he separated the 2 nations in Rebekah's womb. Because how confusing would that be if Esau had the same Y DNA haplotype as Jacob? We wouldn't know who's Israel, right? I mean, it's common sense. So in his infinite wisdom and his infinite ability of foresight, thousands upon years before it even happens, he knew that one day this day was going to come when he was going to raise one of us up with the knowledge to give to the children of Israel, that we can prove who we are by our DNA, that we can prove that we're seeds of Jacob, okay? Not just by the curses, but by our blood, the blood that he gave us, the DNA that he gave us, that he coded us with. Don't let these false teachers and these false pastors and these false elders fool you, okay? DNA has nothing to do with no white man. I mean, it angers me, man, that these oh my God! Listen, don't listen to these men. Don't listen to these people. Okay, they're misleading you, my people. The Most High split the Y DNA haplotype of Jacob and Esau. That's what he meant when he said he was going to separate them, two nations. All right, Jacob are the chosen, the chosen seed, the chosen nation, right? And Edom, Esau and Edom represented the other nation. That's what the Most High meant. As simple as that. Okay, it's not for him. This DNA knowledge is for us. He knows who's who. Okay, he knows how many hairs we have on our head. Come on, man. This DNA stuff is not for him. And think about it, it's just really it's common sense and common logic. If Esau if he would have kept the same Y DNA haplotype of Jacob, there's no way we would know that we were of the chosen nation. If the Most High did not separate us from Esau in Rebekah's womb in Genesis 25 and 23. On to the next segment. And for those detractors, Israelites and non-Israelites alike, who try to, inject not having a sample of Jacob's DNA. First of all, people that come out of their mouth with stuff like that is because they're already letting you know who they are. Like I don't even build with people like that. I don't even give them the time of day because I already know what spirit they're operating in. Okay. Let me say this definitively and finally and once and for all for those that have spiritual ears to hear and there's a discernment for understanding what I'm bringing forth. Okay. The Negroes that went into slavery by way of ships, okay, those same Negroes that you Israelite and you Israelite camps claim to believe are the children of Israel, I submit to you all, brothers, sisters, and sojourners of Israel, that we are living, breathing, walking samples of Jacob's DNA, okay? Period, point blank. Like, stop playing with me, all right? You can't say one thing or believe one thing, claim you believe one thing and not the other. If you believe, listen to me closely, people. I want you all to listen to me closely. If you are a so-called Israelite and you believe that the Negroes, the E1B1A, that's who the Negroes are worldwide. If you believe, I'm sorry, the Negroes are the children of Israel that went into slavery by way of ships, as it said in Torah, by way of the curses during the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, I did the second part of that for you. I found out what our DNA is of those Negroes that were on those slave ships getting dropped off all over the transatlantic in Brazil and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. Okay, I did the second part for you all. The E1B1A is the Y DNA haplotype of Negroes. So we don't have to have Jacob's DNA. We are his DNA. You can't believe that we are the children of Israel and not believe that Jacob was E1B1A, because Jacob is the patriarch of Israel. He is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. If we're all E1B1A in subgroups of E1B1A, clearly Jacob, just logical common sense. You don't even have to have genetic knowledge. Logical common sense will tell you that that's what his DNA was. Period, point blank. All the different subgroups of E1B1A represent the different tribes we come from. I'm E1B1A 7A. From thorough research, I found out the E1B1A 7A is Ephraim. Okay, there's a history that goes along with the E1B1A 7A. There's a lot of us in Puerto Rico. Yes, that's true. Before we get into the whole 12 tribe thing and how and why our genealogy is so important, I have to do this, right? To shut those detractors up, to shut them down. Okay, Negroes are walking, living, breathing samples of Jacob's DNA. So knock it off. You can't believe one without the other, because if you believe one thing and teach another, you're a hypocrite. And all of the people that so-called follow you need to call you out, because it's logical common sense. How can you believe that Negroes are the children of Israel that went into slavery by way of ships on the transatlantic slave trade, but speak against our DNA of E1B1A, identifying us as Israelites, as seeds of Jacob? You're a hypocrite, and people need to call you out, man. Enough of this foolishness. On to the next segment. All right, here we go. all throughout Tanakh, reckoning Israel's genealogy is all throughout. All right, clearly, because our lines, our ancestral lines, is important to the Most High. Okay, First Chronicles 9:1 says, "So all Israel, not some of Israel, not a part of Israel, not just the northern kingdom of Israel, not just the southern kingdom of Israel, said all Israel were reckoned by genealogies, and behold, they were written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, who were carried away to Babylon for their transgression." So when you look at and research how important, you can get a concordance, if you will. I have an exhaustive concordance that I use, but you can and look up genealogies and how many times it appears in Torah and Tanakh especially, right? And when you see just how important our genealogy is, then no Israelite should ever quote Timothy or Titus in his so-called New Testament ever again, because you sound ridiculous, you sound silly. Okay, you can't, you listen, no non-Israelite ever led the children of Israel. No non-Israelite ever taught the children of Israel. Okay, if you are a sojourner of Israel, not a genetic Hebrew Israelite, we respect you. I respect you. You stand with us. You're one of us. The Most High said he will see you as one that is homeborn if you take on the laws, statutes, and commandments given to us. But you cannot teach the children of Israel if you are not an Israelite. Period. Point blank. Israelites, my people, my brothers and sisters, stop quoting Timothy and Titus about putting our mind, quote unquote, in endless genealogies. That is a disrespect. That he's salty. Titus and Timothy were Greeks, my people. A Greek can't tell us anything about our genealogical laws, about any of our laws as Israelites. They can't. Stop quoting these men. These men were not our friends. You so-called pastors and Israelite pastors and teachers and elders, stop teaching our people this stuff. Come out of the New Testament, man. That's not our book. Those are not our laws, man. Like, it's not. Knock it off already. Okay? So the next step, I'm going to go into why, some of the reasons why our genealogy is so important and why we have to know whether we're genetic Hebrew Israelites or not. Clearly, it was of the utmost importance to the Most High. I mean, to the point where our genealogy and who we came from was written in a book. Come on, my people. That's how important our genealogy is. How do we have that knowledge now? The only way we can reckon our genealogy now is by a DNA test. Don't believe the hype, man. I'm telling you. A lot of these so-called camps and these leaders and so-called elders, they don't want to deal with the DNA. They don't want to deal with that because it might out them as something else. They're scared of it. They're not led or equipped to deal with DNA. So they don't deal with it. They can't speak against what I'm saying, right? Because if they say that they believe that the children of Israel were cursed to go into slavery by way of ships, and we are those children, but speak against our DNA, then they're hypocrites. On to the next segment. Here we go. 1 Timothy 1 and 4. I mean, how stupid is it for someone to speak on something that they're not even a part of? Like, Timothy couldn't speak against our genealogy, right? Come on, Israel. He's a Greek. That's something he was not a part of, right? And yeah, I mean, you all sound silly quoting Timothy about our genealogy. Again, the New Testament was for Christians, man, not for Israelites. Okay, our law is in the Torah, in the Tanakh, all of our laws. Okay. Say from the words of Yeshua HaMashiach, or HaMashiach, however you want to pronounce it, you know, the gospel, his gospels, like the New Testament has been so tampered with, man. I mean, really, it's not even, it doesn't profit us to anyway, I'm not going to get into that. I've already touched on that. Okay. You have to reckon your genealogy as a child of Israel, as a seed of Jacob. If you're a seed of Jacob, that means you have to have Jacob's Y DNA haplotype, my people. There's no way around that. I'm telling you the honest to God's, man, right? There's no way around that. You have to reckon your genealogy as a child of Israel if that's what you claim to be. The belief in the curses and the transatlantic slave trade is not enough. Sorry, doesn't cut it. If there's people who look like you and I that are not genetic Israelites. Why? Because there were a lot of slave rapes back in the day. So there are Negroes walking around that look like you and I, but they're not genetic Israelites just because they look like Negroes. That's what I'm saying. You can't go by looks in that respect. The only way you would know who someone is without a shadow of a doubt is by them taking a Y DNA test and revealing what their haplotype is. That's the only way. On to the next segment. So before I dive into the meat of this lesson with that whole 12 tribe chart things, my prefaces are important. All the slides up to this point has been very important leading up to the main meat of the presentation. Okay, why were genealogies so important to Israel? Why was genealogy so important? Our genealogy so important to the Most High, to the fact that He would separate the Y DNA haplotype of Jacob and Esau in Rebekah's womb, going as far as to do that. Okay, family lists and genealogies are a prominent part of 1 and 2 Chronicles and other Old Testament books. These genealogies were obviously important to Israel and the Most High, and our people and our descendants kept meticulous records on our genealogy. One reason family history was Israelite family history was so important to Israel is that it proved our identity as Israelites, or partaker of the blessings of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the chosen seed, and the part of the people chosen by the Most High. If a person was not an Israelite, he or she could not truly be an Israelite citizen and participate in all of the aspects of Israelite life and culture. Family history was also important due to where one lived. Each of the Israelite tribes had received a land inheritance in Israel. For a person to inherit land in a particular tribal area required evidence. Okay, operative is evidence that he was descended from that particular tribe. Genealogies were also essential to proving whether a Jewish male could serve as in the Levitical priesthood. Priests could only be from the tribe of Levi and the descendants of Aaron, the brother of Moses. If a man could not prove this connection, he was unable to serve as a priest. Are you following me, my people? This is why our genealogy is of the utmost importance. Okay, it's time to go to another level with this thing. Walking around talking about the curses and transatlantic slave trade. Listen, man, that stuff, that's over with. We're on a different level now. We have to reckon our genealogy as children of Israel. The Most High raised one of us up to bring this DNA teaching forth so we can finally say, look, we have more than just a belief. We have genetic, biological proof that we are the so-called lost children of Israel. Okay? A family's history could also show an affiliation with people of significance. Today, people delight in finding proof that their ancestors are famous people, right? But the genealogies emphasize the importance of the family unit in Israelite culture. Traditional Israelite culture emphasized marriage between a man and a woman who were responsible for raising children and continuing the legacy of their family with the next generation. The Israelites took seriously their responsibility to continue the line, the Y DNA haplotype, the genetic ancestral line that would bring honor to the family name. And that line is obviously the male, the man, because like I've touched on before, there were 2 mitochondrial contributors to the 12 tribes of Israel, women, Zilha and Bilhah and Zilpah, who were not Israelite women. They were black women, but they were not Israelites. Rachel and Leah were the Israelite women, sisters. They were full blood. They were from the same mother and father. Now, this is why the genealogy was so important to the children of Israel, and why it's so important to the Most High. It's evidence of who we are, my people. Simple as that. Y'all heard me read it. It's evidence of who we are. It's not a belief. A belief is not evidence. Okay, it's not. That's why I said and I maintain you can't go into a court of law telling them what you believe and what you think. You have to go in there with evidence. DNA is evidence, my people. Rather, I mean, this is why they came up with that E1B1A propaganda being Egyptians. They wasn't doing that before 6 years ago when I came up with the E1B1A complete video. I did. They wasn't doing it. They did that because it got so popular that they wanted to confuse our people once again by putting out that propaganda that Egyptian king, whatever his name is, was E1B1A. Well, if he was E1B1A, he was a Negro. He was an Israelite. And how do we know that? Because Egyptians did not go into slavery by way of slave ships, by the transatlantic slave trade. Egyptians were not cursed to go back into slavery. Those people that were cursed to go back into slavery are E1B1A. So I know that to be false. I know that to be propaganda. If that so-called Egyptian mummy is actually E1B1A, then that person was an Israelite, whether he knew it or not. I mean, you got to figure we lived there for 430 years. So I mean, you know, we mixed with the Egyptians. I mean, come on. So if by chance that person was E1B when it doesn't tell me anything, but they put that out there to confuse you, to make you think that we were Egyptians, man. I told y'all this 7 years ago. I told y'all this. They were going to do this. Okay. And it's, man, it's just, it's frustrating, man. I saw this. I had the gift of foresight myself. I saw this coming, and that's exactly what's going on. Now you got these so-called Egyptologist brothers running around with this E1B1A Egyptian king or whoever he was, running around saying that, yeah, that's proof that we Egyptians. I mean, so it's like, man, come on, man, miss me, man, miss me. Egyptians did not go into slavery by way of slave ships. Okay, Israelites did. And Israelites are the E1B1A, and there's no denying that, man. Don't believe the hype. Don't fall for the propaganda, man. Okay, on to the next segment. Okay, so unless the Most High does something supernaturally or miraculously, and separates the Y DNA haplotype of two babies in a womb, this is ordinarily how it works. The child is going to be what the father is. That was established by the Most High in Torah. That's just what it is. Okay. If you don't believe me, just look no further than the two female mitochondrial contributors who birthed 4 of the 12 tribes of Israel, who were not Israelite women, however. And the men from those tribes who possesses the E1B1A, they are still respectively from those tribes, in lieu of who their vessels or who their mothers were. That's my point. So I want to illustrate to you, this is how it normally works. A Hebrew male or a Negro male, whatever you feel comfortable, and let's say a Native American or a Hebrew woman, the child is going to be a Hebrew male child or a Negro. Okay, a Native American male. If a Native American has a child with a Native American or a Negro Hebrew woman, that Y DNA of that male child is going to be Native American, because that's what his father is. And again, the Spaniards who did all the colonizing with Puerto Rico and and this and that and all over the Caribbean, their DNA, their Y DNA is prevalent, okay, in Puerto Rico, in Dominican Republic. I believe it's not as prevalent in Dominican Republic. I think there's more Negroes, Hebrews there, like in Brazil. So this is how it normally works. Whatever the Y DNA haplotype of that male is, that's what it's going to be. That's the nation the child is going to basically descend from. That's their line. Okay, I don't care who agrees with that, who believes it or not. It's not my job to make you believe it. I'm giving you the truth. I'm putting it out there to you. Okay, the rest is on you. Those who are supposed to get this are going to get it. They're going to take to it like a fish to water. Okay, there are Negroes that look like me and you, but are not genetically Negroes. Why? Because they were results, or their ancestors were the results of a slave rape. Okay, a lot of rapes went on back in the day. So let's be honest. There's a percentage of us who carry the slave master's Y DNA haplotype. I mean, and the only way you'll be able to know that is not by looking at them or looking at one of us or whatever, is by taking the DNA test. That's the only way. Okay, there are plenty of Negroes that look like you and me and they are genetically white men, basically, for all intents and purposes. And that's how it works. So I wanted to illustrate that. So we're gonna get into the meat of this whole 12 tribe debauchery, whatever. But this is how it works. A Negro Hebrew male is going to make a Negro Hebrew male child. A Native American male is going to make a Native American child, and this is by Y DNA. And a Spanish European male, that child is going to be Spanish European by the Y DNA haplotype, and that's how it normally works. Okay, now we're getting into the meat of the presentation. Now, these are the 4 matriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, and why they're important is obviously it's evident why they're important. They brought forth the seeds of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, that 12 tribe chart, as recently constructed, it gives off a lot of well, first of all, it's partially correct. It's partially correct from the standpoint that when the children of Israel were scattered through all 4 corners of the world, we were literally scattered into virtually every nation on earth to some degree. Okay, so it's true for this. It's partially correct from that standpoint. However, to generally teach and put out there that these races of people are Israelite, in a blanket kind of way, is just wrong. It's wrong, and it's genetically inaccurate. Okay, the only one they nailed was Judah, which is Negroes. But newsflash, all of the 12 tribes of Israel were Negroes. Okay, so why the 4 matriarchs are important? Leah and Rachel. Okay, they are full-blooded sisters. That's where your haplogroup, your mitochondrial L3E comes out of. Okay, their father was Laban and Adina. Okay, so Leah and Rachel, that is. Okay, so they were full blood. Now, there wasn't much on Adina's line, but Adina had to have come from an Israelite line, because we know that by virtue of having the L3E being the Israelite mitochondrial DNA for Israelite women all across the world, L3E. Okay. Now there's another Adina that was married to Levi, but they're not the same. Okay. That's what makes it difficult with Leah and Rachel's mother, Adina, because there isn't much on her. But you'd have to logically conclude that she's L3E. She's from the Israelite line, because Leah and Rachel birthed out all the Israelite women from that line, or whatever, via the 12 tribes of Israel. Okay. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why Leah and Rachel being full blood is important in the next segment. Now, Bilhah and Zilpah, they were from mitochondrial haplogroup L. They weren't L3E, but they were L, which tells me and tells us that they were black, maybe even Hamitic women, but they were black. They were definitely black women. Okay, so that's why the representative of Leah, Bilhah, Zilpah, and Rachel are, you see the black figures, because that's what they represent. They were 4 black women. Of course, we all know Jacob was black. So if Jacob was black and the 4 women that birthed the 12 tribes of Israel were black as well, it's logical to conclude, just common sense, that all 12 children were black as well. On to the next segment. So real quick, how do we further know that Leah and Rachel came from an Israelite maternal line? Well, because they birthed out Judah and Ephraim. How about that? Now that's not to say that the other 4 tribes that Zilpah and Bilpah birthed out weren't as significant, or whatever the case may be. But that's how we further know that Rachel and Leah, those lines were mitochondrial Israelite lines, because they birthed out Judah and Ephraim. Pretty cool, huh? So Leah, bless her heart, she birthed out 6 of the 12 tribes. She birthed out Reuben, Simeon, Levi, the priestly line, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. So what that means, my brothers, sisters, and sojourners of Israel, is that if Leah birthed out those 6 black babies to Jacob, a black man, okay, there is no way on God's green earth that she birthed out Guatemalans and Mexicans, right? Because that chart has our people believing that Mexicans are Issachar, which is just so ridiculous, man. I mean, first of all, Mexicans mostly carry, there's a percentage of Israelites, yes, in Mexico. So again, that's partially true. However, okay, most of your Mexicans carry Spaniard and Native American DNA. It has nothing to do with haplogroup E. It has nothing to do with E1B1A. Okay, that's how we know it's genetically false to say that Mexicans are the tribe of Issachar. That's wrong. Okay, Issachar, Judah, Simeon, Reuben, and Zebulun and Levi, they're going to look very similar. They may their complexions may differ a little. Back then, it wasn't really no race mixing like that. So even their complexions shouldn't have been greatly different. So they were black. There were 6 black brothers. Okay, Leah did not birth a Mexican. Knock it off. Stop it. Okay, she did not birth a Mexican. Y'all need to stop teaching that. Okay, because if anything, you know, we all know that when kids have the same mother and father as those 6 brothers did, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun, had the same exact mother and father, they're not going to look drastically different. There might be some slight little, but they're going to look alike. They're going to look like their parents, kind of like the Jacksons, right? Like they all some kind of look like the mom, some kind of look like the dad. When some look like a mixture of the two, whatever. That's how it is with big families, whatever the case may be. That's exact. It's the same scenario. Okay. So please, man, I mean, you know, knock it off. All right, and then you want to give. Well, what's true, and again, what's true is Ephraim, right? There's a huge percentage of Puerto Ricanos ahí in Puerto Rico. That's true because I actually found them when I traced my DNA. Okay, we came from mostly Yoruba, and there's a history there, right? And so I even have the Native American in my DNA. So I'm thinking, well, that probably comes from the Taino Indians or the Arawak, because I saw the Native American as well in my DNA, and I saw a lot of my people in Puerto Rico. So I know that to be true. But to say that all Puerto Ricans are tribe of Ephraim, that's not true, because to say that and teach that implies that all Puerto Ricans have black blood, and that's not genetically true, and that's not genetically accurate. This is my point, my people. Stop teaching this false chart, okay? Because a lot of Puerto Ricans have Spaniard blood. They carry the Spaniard Y DNA haplotype. They don't carry the E1B1A. That's how you know they're not Israel. You understand what I'm saying, my people? I'm giving you this knowledge on a platter. Stop following this false chart. It's false. All Puerto Ricans are not Ephraim. Okay, and this stuff about Reuben being the Seminole Indians. Come on, man. So you want people to believe that Leah birthed out a Mexican, an Indian, and four or 5 black brothers. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. Like, please, man, please, brothers, do away with this chart, man. It's not true. It's partially true, but genetically inaccurate. Like, please knock it off, man. The brother that made up this chart, what he did was he charted the transatlantic slave trade of basically where slaves were dropped off, mostly at, or whatever the case may be, and then he just kind of ran with that, basically. But my thing is, and me and the Hebrew sister was building on this last Shabbat, is that Brazil has a huge percentage of Israelites or so-called African slaves that were dropped off there. So why isn't Brazil on that chart, right? Like they just totally just didn't include Brazil, right? And see, that's the point. So, that's all they did was they charted the transatlantic slave trade where we were basically dropped off, and then they just kind of lumped everything all together. No, you can't lump everything together because that's not giving proper information. That's not guiding and telling the people correctly. That's giving false information. The Bible says a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump, man. So, I mean, come on. All 12 tribes of Israel were black men, Negroes, period. All right, period, point blank. So, and let's look at here. Let's see. Gad, North American Indians, Gad. Okay, same concept. Let's see, Naphtali. Y'all saying it's Argentina and Chile. Yeah. So y'all real heavy on the Caribbean, which is true. Yeah, I mean a lot of slaves, Hebrew/African slaves were dropped off in those providences and those in the Caribbean, even whatever, right? But to say that Leah, who birthed 6 of them, she birthed a Mexican and a Native American and a Dominican, and I mean it's just so ridiculous, man. Like, please, my people, please knock it off already, man. That 12 tribe chart, we need to do away with that. Okay, maybe in the very beginning, it served the purpose or whatever the case may be, but the only thing it's serving now is sowing confusion amongst the children of Israel. Okay, a lot of those people and those races and those groups listed on that chart, at the very least, they can be sojourners of Israel, but to teach and recruit them, telling them that they're Israel is just flat out wrong, man. It's wrong on so many levels. Okay, and it's not cool. Okay, this is why our genealogy, going back to that, was so important to the Most High, and that's why you have to reckon your genealogy as a child of Israel. Anyone can say that they're a child of Israel. Anyone can believe that they're a child of Israel. You can say and think whatever you want, my people, but that doesn't make it true. And that's been my point from day one. You can say whatever out of your mouth, but that doesn't make it true. What can you prove? Okay, you can believe what you want. Everyone's not going to believe it's you, and that's fine. But what can you prove? And that's the whole point. Like, please knock it off with this 12 tribe chart. It's genetically inaccurate because Jacob was only one man. Jacob was one Negro man that had one Y DNA haplotype of E1B1A. He gave that one Y DNA haplotype of E1B1A to all 12 of his sons. Okay, in order for Leah to have birthed out Native Americans and Mexicans, that would mean that she had 5 or 6 different Y DNA haplotypes from 6 different men. Come on, that is genetically impossible. Okay, that is genetically impossible. Only the Most High could do something like that, and he would have no reason to do anything like that. Okay, Jacob was one man. He gave his one Y DNA to all 12 of his Negro black sons of Israel, E1B1A, and that's why today we have different variations of E1B1A. I'm sorry, not variations, but different subgroups of E1B1A, because it represents the different tribes, and also it allowed us to procreate within our tribe. So we wouldn't have a bunch of genetically messed up children. That's because, remember, the Most High didn't want us to mix with any other nation. That's why our DNA is like that. That's why we have the 7A, the 8, all these different subgroups, right? Even with the L3E, so we could procreate, my people. The Most High in His infinite wisdom already had this all figured out. Okay, He raised me up to bring it to y'all. So it's up to y'all whether y'all eat eat of the fruit or drink, of the vine thereof. It's up to you. I'm not jumping up and down saying please believe me, but the only thing I can do is present it, and pray that your spiritual ears and your discernment takes over what I'm saying to you. Okay, these camps, these so-called leaders, these pastors, they telling you and leading y'all wrong. They are. All right, that chart is genetically inaccurate, and it's just and like I said, there's a percentage of Israelites, I think, in every nation on earth. Okay, but that doesn't mean we can get to go around teaching those nations that they're Israel. No, at the very most, they can be sojourners. or at the very least, rather, they could be sojourners. And there's no disgrace in being a sojourner, standing with the true children of Israel, none at all. But you have to teach and tell them that, not teach and recruit and tell them that they're Israel. I don't know if there's a hidden agenda there with all these different exotic type women that you're recruiting. I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak to the hearts of men. Only you can do that. But I know that you need to stop teaching this 12 tribe chart to our people, because it's only partially correct and genetically inaccurate. All right, this segment will pretty much cover the others with respect to like Cuba and Dominican Republic and all the other Caribbean and South American islands and provinces that African / Hebrew slaves were dropped off to. Because basically with those races of people in that 12 tribe chart, you're dealing with three contributors. Okay, Native American males, which is not going to be a lot of that, because one of the first order of business the Spaniards did was to kill off most of the Native American males, because most of the Native American males, they fought back and they wasn't trying to hear that slavery stuff, so they were killed. So there's not going to be a lot of male Native American DNA in those races. You know, Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Cubans and so on and so forth, right? So that leaves the Spaniard Y DNA, the European, right? And then, of course, they imported the so-called African slaves, which we all know to be Hebrew Israelites. So those are your two main contributors to those races of people. All right. So now, you know, like I said, you can't always go by looks. However, the black Latinos, right, male and female, that look like us, or they call them Afro Latino or Negro Latino, whatever you want to call them, right, that look like blacks and possess the E1B1A Y DNA haplotype, those are your Hebrew Israelites. Those are your Ephraimites. Okay, most of our people came from Yoruba. Okay, there's a history there. All right, but if you look like Mark Anthony on the surface, no disrespect to Mark Anthony, but Mark Anthony doesn't look like he possesses like any Negro blood at all. If you look like Mark Anthony and you carry the Spaniard's DNA, then you're not an Ephraimite. You're not an Israelite. That's my point, people. You can't blanketly list all these races of people as Israelites, because they're not. That being an Israelite is based on your genetic DNA. It goes back again to us being able to reckon our genealogy as children of Israel. And to be a child of Israel, to be a seed of Jacob, you have to possess his Y DNA haplotype. There's no way around that. You can't, there's no scripture that can go against that. There's nothing you can say against that. Period, point blank. You have to reckon your genealogy. All those people do not have Jacob's Y DNA of E1B1A or even L3E. One of the reasons why the Jews that occupy Israel today makes it a thing to go through the mother is because they could never prove genetically through the father, through a male, that they are from Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. That's why they did that. Okay, again, and see, y'all don't know. Again, they know though. They know, and this is why I'm trying to awaken y'all. I'm trying to approach it a slightly different way. Okay. That 12 tribe chart, y'all need to cease and desist and come from that. Okay, the Negroes, the black Latinos that carry our DNA, that carry the DNA of Jacob, those are your Israelites. The black Puerto Ricans, that carry E1B1A, whether you look like Tego Calderon or Jennifer Lopez, if you carry the E1B1A or the L3E, you are a genetic Israelite. That's how you determine who's an Israelite, not just blanketly covering these different countries and races of people as Israel. Native Americans' DNA has nothing to do with haplogroup E. I mean, nothing. I mean, that's literally mixing apples and oranges. They are totally different people than we are. Okay, so that's just silly in itself. So this segment covers all the other providences, basically. Okay, I'm not going to get into bringing forth DNA. I did that on my 12 tribe chart, the one I did some years ago. You can bring that up if you want to look at all the data that I brought forth. I'm not going to do that, but I just wanted to kind of approach it a slightly different way with respect to how important our genealogy is to the Most High as an Israelite, and why it's important for you to stop for y'all to stop promoting that false 12 tribe chart, because y'all giving out false information. Y'all giving false y'all giving people like a false belief, or a false, not false belief, but y'all basically doing something y'all don't even have to do, because they can, those people can sojourn with Israel, right? And I don't know, maybe that hurts your recruitment. I don't know, but speak you the truth, man. It'll set you free. Okay, that 12 tribe chart, while partially correct, because there's a percentage of Israelites throughout those nations of people, but it's not genetically accurate to say that all those people in those nations are Israel. It's not accurate, and it's not true. All right, when you talk about the African diaspora, my people, I submit to you that is actually a Hebrew Israelite diaspora. Just replace African with Israelite, and you'll have our history. You'll have because the majority of us are the ones that went into slavery by way of ships, and we were dropped off all over the transatlantic. All right, so on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson. I hope you all got something from it. I really do. Only thing I can do is present it. It's frustrating, like I said in the beginning, very frustrating, especially for people that just refuse to want to just embrace the truth. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say or do at this point. But that's that. Like I said, I try to keep it as short as possible. But I want to include all the information I need to include. Again, if you really want a more thorough presentation with me presenting the actual DNA of these different races of people, stuff like that, I have another video I came out with about 5-6 years ago that addresses that. Look for that and on my channel if you want a more in-depth DNA type presentation. I didn't want to do all that this time because I already did that, and so but I wanted to approach it a different way, so maybe you all would see just how important that chart is with respect to our genealogy, man, as Israelites. Okay, that you spreading that lie, promoting that lie is not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to get those people anywhere, because they're not Israel. All of them aren't. Only a percentage of them are Israel. Okay, just like there's a percentage of us in all nations. So on that note, man, this is Dr. Ephraim signing off. Until next time, I'm saying Ahaya Bayashim, Yeshua HaMashiach, Baruch Atu Adonai, Shalom elect.